Progressives Governors Forum says members are united and remain focused in their commitment to next election.
The Progressive Governors are united on the convention, on the future of the party, on our commitment to ensure that the People's Party doesn't come back to power.
Minister of Power raises hope over reduction of excessive electricity billing in the country.
Mambila has been on since 1982, you recall. Mambila has been on since 82, but it's going to on now.
Senate frowns at high cost of airfares, nudges federal government on roads rehabilitation and construction.
Call on the federal government to immediately make good its indebtedness to FEMA in order to enable the agency carry out its primary responsibility of rehabilitating federal roads.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss the get-rich-quick syndrome and its consequences.
All right, now our topic today is not one to elicit smiles. It's a worrisome dimension today in which life is getting cheapened, lived, and even taken without recourse to the sanctity it ordinarily should hold, especially when it comes to issues of, getting rich and calculating successes.
Well, Claire, I'm most certain several of our viewers would have seen, heard, or read about some of such ugly dimensions to the get-rich-quick syndrome in recent times. And really, the tales are bizarre and saddening as they come.
Indeed, deep-seated in the get-rich-quick pool is, of course, ritual killings. There are other heinous acts carried out in, of course, craze for, supposed emancipation from the term poverty. And guess who guarantees those seekers of riches? Get rich quick, persona you don't even want to imagine. Kingsley.
Well, as amusing as that might be in a sense, now the ultimate joke is on the nation's young populace and future leaders who are so embroiled and drawn in the growing scourge of money rituals and other fraudulent acts in obtaining quick riches. Now, this engagement is certainly a worrisome bother, assuming, of course, also a burden on parents and ultimately on the nation.
Indeed, Kingsley, and such is the worry at the moment, even for the leadership of our country, ranging from the executives, in fact, to all levels, as they raise the concerns to carry out national consciousness over money ritual killing dimension, which has, almost getting out of hand.
There's no question about it. Almost every week, if not nearly every day, there are accounts of young persons who have been arrested on an account of allegedly participating in ritual murder of some persons. And sometimes the victims are persons who are close to them, a girlfriend or otherwise, or persons who have been lured in and their bodies dismembered, all in the quest of making money through various rituals. Now, a statement credited to the Honorable Minister of Information recently says the federal government is concerned about the rising cases of ritual murders by unscrupulous people, most of them very young, who are seeking to get rich at all costs. And as such, a process to raise national awareness on this scourge is most critical.
Indeed, most critical, if you ask me. And in all of these, bizarre acts, no doubt there are other consequences inherent. But do they really care to know? And what are the impressions of unscrupulous acts on the rest of us within the society. So where is the law in this instance? I know these are some of the issues that will be thrown up to, for discussion today on Good Morning Nigeria. And once again, we are looking at the get-rich-quick syndrome and consequences, not just on of course, the perpetrator, but of course the family of the perpetrator and our society as a whole. So it's on this note, I again welcome you. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria. It's Friday's edition, and it promises to be exciting today, Kingsley.
Well, Claire, you fast forward. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd of February, not Friday yet. Friday is 2 days away. I'm Kingsley Osalolo. I join you, of course, in welcoming our viewers to this edition of the program. Yet again, this morning, and the Federal Capital Territory is chilly and also hazy. In the course of our program, as always, on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, we have our complimentary segments, business and newspaper review. For now, here's Musbah Odan-Wahab, who has the highlights of the morning news. Good morning, Musbah.
Very good morning, Kingsley and
before
Claire.
you take the news, I'm sure you were wondering why I said Wednesday. Everybody knows. I mean Friday. When I said Friday, Anyway.
Maybe you're trying to get rich quick.
No, she's trying to get off work quick for the week. It's midweek, actually. So
yes.
Pretty fast on that score.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, all right. This is my question to you, Musbah.
Right.
I'm sure everyone, desires to get money, plenty of it. I don't know if there are exceptions though. But as a young man, you do work twice as hard, if not much more.
Well, it's a pure decadence for me that these cases are coming every day, like Kingsley rightly mentioned earlier. No day passes by without hearing of one case or the other. It's so sad and something that we need to, all the stakeholders, the society needs to fight this and end it as quick as possible. So sad too that some of those who are supposed to be against something like this are even in support now. You hear of parents even supporting one of their children to, to use one of them. It's so sad, and we hope that we can come to a table and see what to do about this. We'll be hoping to hear from your guest this morning on how to address this scourge.
Thank you, most well.
Let's take the news. We're starting from the political arena as the Progressives Governors Forum says its members are not only united but remain focused in their genuine commitment towards ensuring that the governing APC waxes stronger in the build-up to the next general elections and achieves a very successful outcome. The chairman of the forum and governor of Kebbi State, Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, said this while briefing journalists after leading the APC governors to a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari.
22 governors of the APC are united. We are in total support of Mr. President. We are appreciative of his leadership. We commend him for his leadership.
Let nobody leave this room with any doubt that the progressive governors are united on the convention, on the future of the party, on our commitment to ensure that the People's Party doesn't come back to power.
Elsewhere, the All Progressives Congress Governors Forum said it will work with relevant stakeholders within the party to ensure that they transparently deliver national executive that will earn the confidence of party faithful. This was during the forum's meeting in Abuja.
We have discussed and reviewed the elections that took place in the FCT, the Oshun primaries, the court judgment that resolved the Kano primaries issue.
Away from APC matters, President Muhammadu Buhari on Tuesday granted audience to his Ghanaian counterpart, Nana Akufo-Addo. President Nana Akufo-Addo is the chairman of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. President Buhari and the Ghanaian leader held talks behind closed doors that lasted about 1 hour, but details of their discussions were not made public. The high-level engagements might not be unconnected with efforts at finding lasting solutions to the recent wave of unconstitutional changes of governments in the sub-region. The ECOWAS leaders had strongly condemned the military coups in Guinea, Mali and Burkina Faso, describing them as inimical to peace, stability and development of the continent. Now, there are indications that Nigerians may soon see the end of excessive electricity billing in the country. This indication is coming from the Minister of Power, Abubakar Aliyu, at a town hall meeting on federal government's achievements on infrastructure. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed gave a summary of contributions from various ministers at the end of the event.
Mambila has been on since 82, but it's going to now. So also is the IPP project, which Siemens is running. The Siemens is a German government-led organization which has partnered with us to provide electricity in sufficient quantity to improve our services to the Nigerian people. That also is through the courtesy of the approval of Mr. President.
That was the Minister of State for Power, Abubakar Aliyu. Now to the National Assembly, where the Senate has expressed concern over what it called astronomical increase in airfare in Nigeria, urging the federal government to do more on roads rehabilitation and construction. The decision follows adoption of a motion moved as a matter of urgent national importance at Tuesday's plenary.
Immediately make good its indebtedness to FEMA in order to enable the agency carry out its primary responsibility of rehabilitating federal roads.
And the House of Representatives has urged relevant authorities to, in the interest of students and development of the education sector, take necessary steps to bring an end to the ongoing strike by Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. The issue was among considerations during plenary on Tuesday.
Of Labour and Employment and ASU adhere to the clauses and provisions of the previous Memorandum of Understanding and Memorandum of Action in the interest of Nigerian students.
Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, and the federal government, represented by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, will continue negotiations next week to end ongoing industrial action by ASU. This was the outcome of a meeting between the two bodies last night, which ended without resolving all the contending issues.
Demands. 5-point demands. We've gone through all of them, sorted them out, fixed timeline for action on about 4. Tomorrow, on the government side, we'll meet with Finance Minister and Education and the Chief of Staff, as directed by Mr. President, so that we can finalize certain grey areas in the issue of revitalization fund.
A federal high court sitting in Abuja and presided over by Justice Zainab Dimka Abubakar has granted an application by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA to detain for 2 weeks more suspended Deputy Commissioner of Police Abba Kyari and 6 others under investigation for their involvement in a 25-kilogram cocaine deal. The court gave the order following an application by the Anti-Narcotic Agency pending the conclusion of investigation. About just a bit of news this morning. Good Morning Nigeria will continue in just a moment with Claire and Kinsley. Wait for the discussion of the day.
The ever-busy ancient city of Onitsha is a commercial hub with millions of commuters seamlessly linking other states daily for business, leisure, and other purposes. To upscale its road network, the construction of a 1.6-kilometer-long Second Niger Bridge, including a 10.3-kilometer highway furnished with other infrastructure, has been in motion by the federal government. This project will ease congestion on the existing 56-year-old Onitsha Bridge and boost the economic capacity of the state as it easily connects to other parts of the country. The completion of the world-class Second Niger Bridge Onitsha will be one of the many proud moments of the state, its people, Nigerians, and foreign investors. Onitsha, which hosts the largest market in Africa, is geared up to boast of an impressive road network. Once again, these moments are made alive by the federal government, and it is deserving of all the applause.
Everybody knows the secret to good cooking is that special ingredients. The mothers know it. But does this new generation know it? Let's find out. Mothers, daughters, are you ready? Yes! Let the cooking begin.
Erisco tomato paste.
Now we get home, now we get love.
Now we get children.
We spice the world.
With a meal so great and so healthy.
You know we've got your back. Oh, with Erisco, Rigico, Nagico.
Ladies and gentlemen, food is ready.
Food of love.
Aladu pẹ̀lú Rigico tomato paste. Rigico tomato paste.
Good food for the body. Yum, yum, for the body.
Erisco Rigico and Nagico tomato paste is made by Erisco Foods Limited, feeding Africans with healthy foods.
To the right. Mila, you go to your left.
Gotta do it. Thank you for the rejections. That taught me to keep striving. Thank you for the long hours. That taught me discipline. Thank you for the knockdowns. That taught me to bounce back. And for the unexpected victories, that taught me to never give up.
Please welcome Dr. Succeed.
Thank you for making me who I am.
Contemporary times require practical skills to remain competitive and relevant in your organization. Therefore, take advantage of NTA TV College Short Proficiency courses to sharpen your professional skills. Computer Appreciation for Media Practitioners, date 21st February to 28th February 2022, 1 week. English Grammar and Pronunciation for Broadcasters, date 1st March to 25th March, 4 weeks. Administrative Principles, Processes and Practices, date 11th March to 31st March 2022, 4 weeks. Modern Trends in Broadcast Media Marketing, date 14th March to 13th April 2022, 4 weeks. Basic Broadcast Accounting and Auditing, date 4th April to 19th April 2022, 2 weeks. The course fee for the 1 week course is 100,000 Naira per participant. The fee for the 2 week course is 150,000 Naira, while the course fee for the 4 week course is 180,000 Naira only, accommodation inclusive. The venue for all courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College, near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, training you to be the best you want to be.
The counsel of our fathers.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this country. So those who experience it will run away from it.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Watford will seek to do a double over the Red Devils when they travel to Old Trafford this weekend. It's Manchester United versus Watford on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
All right, welcome back to the program. It's midweek's edition of Good Morning Nigeria. And We're moving on to business, and it appears something good is in the offing for MSMEs, and Alika Opanache will give us the details.
The world is embracing fintech solutions for businesses. Crowdfunding is one of such key solutions, and Nigeria cannot be left behind. This is why the Small and Medium Enterprises Development Agency of Nigeria, SMEDEN, has signed 3 agreements with the United Arab Emirates Company for development of MSMEs through crowdfunding. The MOU will see SMEDEN providing entrepreneurship training and capacity building for MSMEs, while company will provide cashless services and crowdfunding for MSMEs in the country. The Director of Policy, Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation of SMEDEN, Wale Fasonya, said the agreement is a demonstration of the agency's desire to tap into the concept of crowdfunding for MSMEs and other fintech solutions from other parts of the world.
These are initiatives that will enhance the competitiveness of our MSMEs. The issue of insurance is very important. The issue of crowdfunding especially. If you put 10 MSMEs together and you ask them what are their main challenge, even based on our survey, 8 of them will tell you it's about funding. So anything that has to do with funding for MSMEs is of concern to us.
The second part of agreement is providing accessibility to insurances, and the third part of our agreement is providing an alternative way of financing other than the traditional financing from the banks, that is crowdfunding. So these are our main mottos of getting SMEDEN involved and making a landmark movement towards aiming at providing a cashless society and also creating awareness across insurance products for all the small and medium enterprises across Nigeria.
And next is the closing figures of trades on the floor of the Nigerian capital market. With business news, Comfort Amodu.
Thank you very much, Comfort Amodo, for the business package, and good morning, Nigeria. Up next is Newspaper Review.
Let's welcome Bayo Atoyebe. Bayo, good morning.
Good morning, Claire. How come you were 2 days ahead? Maybe you assumed that because we are here, we always appear on Fridays together, so you thought today is Friday. Please come back to today.
We've passed that stage.
Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good morning and good to see you. Okay.
You know, Friday is a good day.
Yes.
Everybody looks forward to Fridays, but it's all right.
Yes.
It's
2 days,
it
2 days of work to go.
Sometimes it happens.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all right. Bayo. So let's get started with the Punch. And the Punch leads with March 26th convention, APC factions falls party and Buhari, and governors opt for consensus and zoning. Details of that on page 2. It comes with riders, Kwara, Osun, Rivers, others, one APC against holding convention without resolving crisis, and north-south to swap positions. That's according to El Rufai, governor of Kaduna State. Now, PDP mocks APC, says ruling party unorganized, and details of all this you can find on page 2. March 26th convention, that's the lead story from the Punch newspaper. And yesterday was Tuesday, and the picture story there tells the story of what happened. The delay in electoral bill assent will affect preparations for 2023 polls. That's CSO's civil society organizations, Buhari, and that was part of their peaceful march yesterday to show that. Other stories, trickling at the bottom of the paper. 5 abducted kids, parents accuses police of demanding 200,000 naira to track suspects. Page 4, I'll take that again. 5 abducted kids, parent accuses police of demanding 200,000 naira to track suspect. Now, court okays Kyari, 6 others detention for 14 more days. It's on page 8. And residents flee as herdsmen invade Benue communities and plan permanent settlement. Details of that on page 8. Now, Kwankwaso, Galadima, others, Third Force vows to dislodge APC, promises restructuring. It's on page 20. And police arraign mother for allegedly selling child for 120,000 naira. It's on page 4. And Tiziani 450 million naira fund. Ex-minister jailed for 3 months gets 1 million naira fine option. I think we had it yesterday. Let me take you just above the nameplate, and you have update on the ASU strike. And Ngige, that's Minister of Labour, and ASU Trade blames strike national embarrassment, says reps. Details of that on page 11. Now, senators reps to vote on constitution amendment next week. Details of that on page 18. And reps grill oil firms over dirty fuel imports. May summon NNPC again. It's on page 27. And they're just the last 2 stories before Kingsley comes in. Federal government begins probe of airlines over alleged collusion to fix airfares, and that was ridiculous. 50,000 naira flat rate. Anyway, you can read up the details on page 27. NLC IG disagree over police exemption from 13.42 trillion naira pension scheme. Details of that on page 32. Kingsley.
All right. We also take a look at the Leadership newspaper. Above the nameplate, there are 2 headlines there, but let's take one of them, since the other already appears on the front page also of the Punch. APC governors accept new convention date and zoning formula. And then below the name flag, Russia-Ukraine crisis. Oil price nears $100 per barrel, highest since 2014. Kwankwaso, Yakasai, others form Third Force ahead of 2023. And the lead story has a double-decker headline, 7 days to go. Pressure mounts on President Muhammadu Buhari to sign electoral bill. That's on page 4 in greater detail, along with the following riders. CSOs embark on aggressive protest against delay. PDP fingers top government functionaries. It may be signed in a matter of hours, says presidency. Federal government and World Bank launch additional $176 million recovery project for Northeast. The National Assembly votes on constitutional review report next week. Strike. Reps urge federal government and ASU to adhere to MOU. Mayo.
Thank you, Kingsley. Political stories seem to dominate the papers today. The 23 governors of the All Progressive Congress, under the auspices of progressive governors, have endorsed the 26th March date for the party's convention. The chairman of the forum, Atiku Bagudu of Kebbi State, said there was division over timing of the convention. He says this was based on realistic proposition to avoid the party violating the law and also putting party-elected officials in danger. He said the next APC chairman will emerge by consensus, adding that President Muhammadu Buhari backs consensus route by which former party chairman, Chief Bisi Akande, Dr. John Odigi Oyegun, and Comrade Adams Oshiemele all emerged through that process. Meanwhile, the Daily Trust also reports that the top contenders of the office of the party chairman of the APC are to meet with the chairman of the Extraordinary Convention Committee. 9 top contenders are to meet with the party. Meanwhile, Governor Nasir El-Rufai has clarified that there is no division among the APT governors over the National Convention. He, however, said that there were differences of opinion because you can't have 23 governors meeting and all of them agreeing in perspective. He said it is the media that classified it as divisions. He says the governors met on Monday night and briefed the president, Muhammadu Buhari. They all are on the same page and they are determined to ensure that they retain their power come 2023. Meanwhile, the National chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Dr. Yoshi Ayu, says that a party that cannot conduct a national convention cannot lead a country. He was addressing women leaders of the People's Democratic Party from 36 states of the Federation. He challenged them to go around all those states of the Federation and talk to ordinary women. The party leader, for the PDP women leader, Professor Stella Effa, says the purpose of the meeting is to see how women can come together to restore hope. He said women must come out of their comfort zone and join forces to rebuild the country. There's yesterday, a new political association, the National Movement, was launched at Abuja. The association prides itself as a movement with the mandate to save Nigeria from disintegration. The pro-tem National Secretary, Professor Rufai Ahmed Alkali, says the group hopes to redirect the country to the path of safety, security, peace, and prosperity. Former Governor of Kano State, Senator Rabi Musa Kwankwaso, who also spoke, called for all countries of the world, especially our neighbors in the sub-region, to partner with Nigeria to defeat raging terrorism and banditry in the sub-region. Well, they say they are a third force. What is the difference between a movement and a political party? I thought INEC has mandate to register political parties.
But you said association.
Yeah.
So an association is not a political party yet, duly registered by the electoral umpire. It is upon registration that you can participate in an election. So they're a movement. And so whether that movement would then would then have
and then to a political party,
critical mass.
Yes,
would have the critical mass to become a political party, fulfilling all the requirements for formal registration. You're having a constitution, having the required number of officers, and as well as, of course, the spread of your offices throughout the federation. So those are some of the requirements that you would need.
I'm sure they're aware of the uphill task.
Well, the leadership is reporting that it's 7 days to go to the 30 days constitutional requirement for the president to ascend the bill. In another development, civil society organizations are embarking on protests to put pressure on the president to sign. The People's Democratic Party National Secretary also held a press conference, and he's blaming government officials for misadvising the president, and he says that this could undermine democracy. Meanwhile, spokesperson for the president, special advisor to the president, says the assent to the bill is a matter of hours.
Yes, and I think there was a statement, issued to that effect, explaining government's own perspective to the electoral bill. Said, it's just a matter of, they still have till 1st of March. I think I read about that. And we buy your way. Yes.
The other political development is also happening at the Senate. Deputy Senate President has indicated that there is a tendency that his committee that he chairs for the constitutional review will be laying the report before the National Assembly next week. And so Wednesday and Thursday will be set aside next week for debates on it. Already, copies are to be distributed to members of the National Assembly today. At the House of Representatives, the Speaker gave indication about the same thing too.
Okay, Bayo, just before we go, I know we rarely talk about sports, but I think that I should be the one to talk about this sport.
Yes, Falcons match?
Sorry?
Falcons match tomorrow?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. So I was going to talk about that. You
please
took
go
it
ahead.
off me.
Go ahead.
For that, I know I won't get a yellow card. The Super Falcons of Nigeria will take on the lady elephants of... I want to give them a trick. The trick to win the elephants. Make their foot heavy so that they won't be able to... elephant is very sluggish in moving. But by the way, the Falcons are going into the match with a 2-goal lead.
Yes.
And if they win, they will qualify for the 12th Women African Cup of Nations scheduled for Morocco in July this year. And not only that, if they win, that same match will serve for their qualification for the Women's World Cup coming up to be co-hosted by Australia in New Zealand next year.
How do you make the leg of an elephant heavy?
Well, that is the challenge. They should come for consultation.
Kingsley, do you know?
Well, if you see an angry elephant,
yes,
those heavy legs are swift.
Oh,
so the trick is not to get them angry.
Yeah, that's right. It's not so. I imagine so. I know that. I mean, it's a figure of speech that you have used. But there's a story inside. I read the story online, but it's on page 16 of the Leadership newspaper. And it says, Babatunde Ogunaike, co-author of National Anthem, dies at 65. He entered the competition in 1977 when there was a call for entries for a new national anthem. That new national anthem was eventually approved by the military administration in 1978. That's right. So he made some verses. Others also made some verses. Babatunde Ogunaike studied chemical engineering at the University of Lagos. He would have been 66 next month, but he passed away on Sunday at the age of 65. He became a professor of chemical engineering. Babatunde Ogunaike, dead at 65. May his soul rest in peace.
Well, Bayo.
Another national icon gone.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what can we
We
say?
all will go someday.
Exactly. It's
May
an
he rest in
inevitable
peace,
process.
yes.
Bayo, thank you.
Thank
and
you.
I gave you a whole lot of time. I hope I have something at the end.
Yes, you have the victory from Falcons today.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Have a good day then.
You too.
All right, this is Good Morning Nigeria. Wherever you're watching from, we're about to take off, and our conversation will begin after this break.
The Nigerian aviation sector is rapidly growing with the construction of new international airport terminals in several regions of the country. The new Murtala Mohammed International Airport has an estimated passenger increase of 30 million annually and 15 million for Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Malam Aminu Kano International Airport is also expected to open new frontiers for the region with more travel capacity for the annual Hajj, while the new Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, avails more business opportunities connecting the industrial cities in the region to the world. These new terminals beat world-class standards with enabling infrastructure that aid air travel, tourism, and the eventual growth of the country's GDP.
Open up commerce and, of course, link us to international societies.
People from international community will come here to do business, and then that will bring in more revenue to the state.
Now, distances can be seamlessly covered as Nigeria keeps raising its bar to suit global infrastructure standards.
Ibrahim, to the right. Mila, you go to your left. Just gotta do it.
Thank you for the rejections. That taught me to keep striving. Thank you for the long hours. That taught me discipline. Thank you for the knockdowns. That taught me to bounce back. And for the unexpected victories, that taught me to never give up.
Please welcome Dr. Succeed.
Thank you for making me who I am.
The counsel of our fathers.
My advice to these young people is please do not take us back to those harrowing days. You probably do not know what it is.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
We are all Nigerians. Against all odds, we shall and must remain united. We may have our challenges, our problems, and setbacks. However, together we shall overcome them all. What doesn't break us shall make us stronger. This is the mindset that shall bring peace, progress, and prosperity to our beloved country. Do not let tribal and religious sentiments govern how you think, act, or feel. Don't be influenced by those who want to destroy our precious national unity. Everybody who is a Nigerian is your brother and your sister. This is the mindset of the new Nigeria. It is also the mindset that we must all adopt. Let us support each other in creating the Nigeria of our dreams. This message is from the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
Watford will seek to do a double over the Red Devils when they travel to Old Trafford this weekend. It's Manchester United versus Watford on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
All right. So let's start our conversation, and we will begin our conversation by listening into this background put together by Oyeyemi Ajayi. Let me also quickly remind you, just before that, you can be part of our conversation. Our Twitter handle is at @NTAGMN.
You want to bamba? You want to chill with the big boys? Now you the wrong, kitty, you the wrong, get a coffee drink with a chop cup. Ha! Hey! Can you see how the thing goes?
Greed and the desire to chill with the big boys have pushed many to the urge of getting rich quick, all in the flamboyance show. They engage in activities to achieve this purpose, and this includes ugly rites to money rituals. Although seldomly talked about, money ritualism has been a long-time act, a rite that sees to individuals using human body parts of their victims after being maimed for financial fortification. However, it's becoming worrisome as it gets scarier in recent times. Young people now see this as a way of getting rich, hence disregarding and forfeiting hard work. For some time now, news about severed and dismembered body parts have been the current trend, aside kidnappings amongst others. Sadly, the perpetrators don't seem to hide their identities anymore, as they move around the streets with the goal and target of getting rich. Some hide under the guise of the technology superhighway to con and swindle unsuspected people online, as acts referred to as Yahoo Yahoo as a subterfuge, whereas they actually engage in ritualism.
For you to deny your mama where born you marry, I am ashamed.
The case of 3 teenagers that killed another teenage girl said to be a girlfriend brought shivers through the spine of many, especially when the perpetrators are within the age brackets of 17 to 19 years old. Some have pointed out that hotels are now used to carry out these heinous acts by killing their customers who come to lodge in such accommodation. Many have blamed the ostentatious display of wealth and false image projection on social media as part of the causes why youths see these nefarious acts as the way out. What more could be fueling the raging scourge of get-rich-quick syndrome and other money mother rites and rituals in the country? Can it ever be corrected? What is the role for everyone in the society at this time? What efforts are relevant authorities putting in place to end this trend? These are some questions guests will be answering shortly.
I can't see him for my front. Okay. Since I will use my mother. Okay. I want to know tell me say I go use my mother. Okay. No tell me say I go use. Oh yeah, no, relax. No tell me say I go use my relax first, relax. I love my mother. I know you do. I know feel you. Calm down. I know feel your mama. I know. When you water will feel water. For who feel water? Use my mama.
Oyeyemi Ajayi, thank you for that background. We have to apologize to our viewers. There was no prior warning of some of the images and footage that we showed in that background. A number of them, of course, have also circulated on the social media, but we apologize one more time for the distress this might have caused to some of our viewers. We have guests with us in the studios to discuss this. Let's welcome retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, Habila Joshak. Retired DIG, pleasure to have you with us on the program this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Also here with us in the studios is Dr. Law Mefo, a social and forensic psychologist.
Thank
Dr.
you.
Mefo,
Thank you.
to have you with
Thank
us. And, Claire?
Go ahead. Yes, please go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, and last but not the least, public affairs analyst Ibrahim Modibo. Modibo, pleasure to have you with us this morning.
Thank you very much, and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
All right. Let's start. Luckily, we're all parents here, and I just would like to start to have your reactions. How do you feel? What you watched? How does it make you? What emotions does it elicit from you? And I'd like to start from Dr. Mefo.
It's really sad, and captures the mood of the moment. Very negative emotions, negative energy, and clearly depicting collapse in our value system. Hard work has been jettisoned. In learning psychology, we talk about reinforcements. When a behavior, positive one, is rewarded, it strengthens its reoccurrence. It now means that, for you to get good at what you are doing, be able to specialize, earn money out of it, work is inevitable. And here we see our youths bypassing all this and bringing in measures that have no scientific value. You kill another, and then money comes. No basis for it. And you go to the extent of killing your own parents, your own siblings. Why then do we struggle? We struggle to be able to make ourselves happy, make our parents happy. And then the people you are laboring for are now your own victims. Something is fundamentally wrong. And as a parent, let me talk about as a parent. I have children, and I know what I go through to try to bring them up in the way they should grow so that they will become useful members of the Nigerian society.
Let me pause you.
Yeah.
Yes, because I just wanted to get your reaction, how you felt watching those.
That's what I said.
Yes.
It's disorientating.
Beautiful.
I just couldn't, it's something that I'd rather not even watch at all.
All right. Madam Modibo.
Yes.
Yes, please. Share your feelings with us.
Well, let me first and foremost thank NTA for inviting me. From the beginning of this year, I have not been here, and I wish you a happy new year and a wonderful presentations. I'm always in sync and in tune with most of your very wonderful programs.
Thank you.
I'm happy to be here with a reputable DIG retired Dr. Leo Mefo on this program of great importance. Now, this question, as you've rightly asked, it's really troubling, Claire. It is troubling. If you look at the Nigerian society as it is today, the craze for get rich quick as embodied or as symbolized by some of the celebrities, where you see display of wealth, display of, riches which were not really properly earned, it sends negative messages to our young ones. My heart bleeds when I see young boys. I saw two of them sometime on social media. When they asked them what they want to be, they said they wanted to be Yahoo boys. You see, the craze for this get rich quick, in which we've lost our moral values. Where did we have an area of convergence? Where did we have a departure from our moral values, our culture, our traditions, which respects education? Because I could very well vividly remember Professor Jibril Aminu's speech in the 80s when he was the Vice Chancellor of the University of Maiduguri. He said, look, the society, especially the university, should offer a very veritable platform where scholarship will obliterate darkness. Brilliance will dazzle mediocrity. Public good will overcome public relations. Is it the culture now? Are we really in sync and in tune with the moral values, the academic values of our society in the days of our forefathers, where you see a man will be merited based on his own contributions in terms of intellectual capacity and also in terms of hard work and seeing the fruit of his labor? But now it's all about syndrome of getting rich quick, where we see the coming of Yahoo boys, cultism, armed robbery, kidnapping, and in fact, ritualism. So all these things are combined to give Nigeria a very bad image within the confines of the global community. And I'm so happy that last week, the Minister of Information has stated as part of our national reorientation and also values, there will be a reorientation program that will come on board by the federal government so as to make sure that the NOA, the NOAA, National Orientation Agency, comes up with formidable programs to enlighten our youths, to make sure that we have this culture of bringing in our youths for the benefit of Nigeria, bringing them within the values, moral values. Because if you see, there are some communities in this country, whether we like it or not, that are placing education, they are placing money, monetary or riches far and above education. That even if you have a younger brother that is rich, if community will sit down to make decisions, sometimes as an elder, if you don't have money, they'll tell you to shut down or shut up. Your younger brother should speak first because he has money. And we have lost it. Why did we lose it? Nigeria has for long been buckled under the full weight of the issue of corruption, crass impunity, spiritually indiscipline, and also monumental and brazen issue of insecurity. These are all things that have been built up for a very long time and which this current government has inherited, and it almost become a national culture, a national value. So we have to build bridges across rivers and streams so as to make sure that Nigeria has a very strong and formidable force that will fight all these evils. Otherwise, we're in serious monumental problem of unimaginable dimension.
Brian Modibo, thank you very much there for your opening salvo. Let's bring in our retired DIG, Habila Joshak. Retired DIG, let's get your opening comments as well as to the phenomenon that is unfolding right before our eyes. Money rituals, one aspect of it. The others have also been indicated. Armed robbery looks so low scale now. Kidnapping, banditry, and of course occultism. But it is the scale and audacity, if you like, of money rituals that is worrisome to everyone. What are your thoughts from a law enforcement perspective?
Yes, thank you. What we've just seen, it's depict a kind of decay in the system. The youth have taken to ensuring that the moral decadent is thrown to the wind. It is a very worrisome situation where we have the children or those that are supposed to back up whatever the government policy and government set up a system that portray Nigeria in future as a nation that can stand out among other nations. What we've seen is completely a decay from the youth that are supposed to begin to work to see how they can improve on Nigerian society. We've seen that money is put at first, because whatever that we saw that they were doing, it is either that is kidnapping or dismembering people, kill and dismember them for ritual, displaying for those who would want to have this, for one or two reasons. And the whole of it is a monetization. It's about money. And so we've seen a very, very frightening situation. And I also would want to see that this country, the policymakers and those who drive the engine, should go back to the drawing board and ensure that this is nip in the bud. And then our legal system should be strengthened and they should be enforced. And those who are doing all this kind of thing, trying to destroy the fabric of this nation, be brought to book. In other words, this trend cannot be allowed to continue because it portrays negative for the nation. The nation is rather, instead of going ahead, it's been rot away. And so I think that we should ensure that we develop a law that will take care of this, and then the youth themselves must be sought for. It is either a gang of kidnappers. When people are kidnapped and the criminals are caught, you tend to see a lot of youth involvement. We've also seen a lot of crime that are unheard of, and there you will see this kind of youth as those who perpetrated this. And therefore, there's a need for us to do a reverse by strengthening the law, by enforcing the laws, and by looking at what have we done or what has happened in the recent past, that there's a decay in the system.
Well, thanks, Abela Joshua. Just to indicate that in terms of the range of get-rich-quick schemes, amongst the younger generation, there's what they call the hustle culture. They call it Yahoo hustle. That is those who are into 419, as we don't know them in Nigeria. And then the money rituals are what they refer to as Yahoo Plus. But whatever it is, Dr. Lawmefo, exactly what are we confronting right now? This is already blooming. It is not something that is simply germinating. In different parts of the country, you have examples of these incidents. It appears that as soon as a set of young persons are arrested, several others, of course, are right there on the line, to perpetrate the same set of activities. And these are criminal activities, by the way.
I think the main problem we have should be complete failure, in three areas. The family system is no longer as coherent and as strong as it used to be. Growing up, we all know what we went through, the kind of grip our parents had on us. It had nothing to do with riches or poverty. The parents were really on top of bringing up their children. And today, something terrible has happened because you have a set of parents who are either absent physically or psychologically. That means they are no longer doing the job. Psychological parenting is so fundamental to the point that you need to know who your children are. Those days, Frank Olise, of this NTA stuff. I was asking one question. Do you know where your children are? Very fundamental question. Now, you have parents that would allow their children return home with cars from school. So, who do you really blame? They return home. They are received by their parents who know that these children are still in school or just graduated and haven't even come into any paying job. So how come that they are now driving exotic cars? Can parents actually exonerate themselves from what is going on? That is one level. The other level is law enforcement. The entire gamut of criminal justice system is a complete rot. Beginning from the Nigeria police, and thank God the DIG is here. Say, the modern security architecture is the police. Whether we like it or not, even the army is a derivative of the police. Go to history. All of them, they all came out of the police, out of the need for specialization. They are, many of these agencies are thriving, but the modern agencies are allowed to just remain like that. Nigeria police can no longer, the way it is today, can no longer do the job. They are undermanned. Less than 400,000 officers and men. Out of that 400,000, about 150,000 are following big men around. That means that the people you really have to do the traditional police job, it's about 250,000, policing 201 million people. It's not possible now. And beyond that, apart from the fact that the police is undermanned, is undertrained, under-equipped, underpaid, the motivation is not there. When justice is denied by any means, it has a consequence on the system. When last did we hear of execution of murderers and armed robbers in Nigeria? I had a governor who said that he would not sign the death warrant of any person.
But it's a constitutional matter.
That's what we're saying. Look, I am saying that if you go to the Nigerian prisons today, you see condemned criminals who have been there for 10, 20 years. What that means...
What makes it constitutional? The Constitution doesn't forbid death penalty in Nigeria.
It does not. They have been convicted. No, listen. Our Constitution allows death penalty if you kill.
No, it doesn't forbid it.
That's what I'm saying. I totally agree with you. Yes. It does not forbid it. And the whole process is completed, and the person to authorize the execution refuses to do so. Now, what message are you sending? You are sending a message that you can get away with killing a fellow human being. That's the point here. That's the point I'm making.
Yes, I will pursue this.
We must go back. Look, you need to recover the family. You need to recover the police. Finally, so that can you displace. You see, the issue of insurgency, the issue of the issue of terrorism, has to do with physical establishment of camps.
Yeah.
All the security agencies, police, DSS, civil defense, all of them have state directorates where these camps are set up. Before a camp is set up and put to use by these criminals, you ask yourself, where is intelligence? Where are the preemptive measures? What were we doing when these people were grouping, arming themselves, getting to the point of being strong enough to challenge the state?
Dr. Mefo, thank you. You've raised some issues. I know that Kingsley will take you up on some of those that bother with, justice, delivery. But let me take you back. I'd like you to explain. You said two things. One, that work is inevitable. Hard work is inevitable.
Inevitable.
Yes, and you also talked about measures that are without scientific value. I'd like you to explain, these two statements within the context of what we are discussing.
If you want to raise a child that will be useful to himself or herself and useful to the society, three things. Value for work. You earn a living. That's how they put it. You must be raised to accept that you must earn whatever you have. We lost that. It was exactly where we lost our way. If today's contemporary children are now raised to believe that they can, shortcut, circumvent the system and get rich without working for such riches, then something fundamentally, is fundamentally wrong there. Look at the cliche you have today. They tell you, Nigerian youth will tell you, get rich, young, or die trying. That is crazy, is it not? You can't allow such to dig in. Do you get the point? That is why I keep going back to the police. Because until you equip the police, train the police to be able to really monitor these things and follow through. For example, some of these people, ritual, traditional doctors, have their shops online. Go to Facebook, you find them. Are you saying we don't have Nigerian policemen, officers and men who are internet savvy, who can launch string operations and track these people down and wipe them out in 6 months? We have, but we are not following that process. Then, when when I talked about, a process that has no scientific value, superstition is such a fundamental problem in Africa, in Nigeria. We believe that nobody can even die a natural death in Nigeria. It's the foundation for the belief that when you kill and certain processes and incantations are made, money will come out. It has a foundation in our culture. You need to deal with it. And even the churches are reinforcing it by allowing, all manner of teachings. People are made to believe that they are tied down by their, by their ancestral spirit, that they need to do some cleansing, they need to do all that, what they call deliverance. Most of these things are fallacies. But it's promoted in the church. So when you have such foundation and you're telling a child that is being confused by a ritualist that if you bring your mother, you become a billionaire, it becomes something that can make sense to him.
We saw
if
the
you don't
young
have
lad
some
there.
encounter.
We saw in one of the videos, we
I
saw
saw
the
it.
young who said, they didn't tell me that.
They don't have to tell you everything. Okay, now they told you to bring a human being, so it's only wrong to him now because it was the mother that was involved. So it could have been okay if it was another woman.
All right. Dr. Lomefo, thank you. Before we get into the aspects relating to law enforcement, part of which you have also touched on, what is similarly worrisome in this whole saga of money rituals and broad variety of other get-rich-quick schemes has to do with reports from time to time, some of it also anecdotal, of parents encouraging their children to go for Yahoo training.
That's it.
So, Ibrahim Modibo, what is it that we are saying here? We say we have lost our family values, parents are not in charge of their children, but there are some parents who are alleged to be sending their children to say, go and train. The police have busted some training camps somewhere in Ogun State, and I think also somewhere in Edo or Delta. They've busted them, and these are parents who are, I don't know, what's Ibrahim Modibo, what are we dealing with here?
Kingsley and Claire, my heart bleeds once again. At what point did we miss it? At what point Nigeria, as a society guided with reason, a society that has been blessed with a lot of flora and fauna, a society has been blessed by abundant human capacities, the world over, if you go, you'll find out that Nigerians have been excelling in almost everywhere. We have a lot of doctors that have been manning best hospitals in the US, in UK, and what have you. Sea engineers, automobile, and what have you. We've been having a lot of people, scientists, and what have you, with character and distinction. At what point did we miss all this? These are the fundamental questions that we have to raise. Why are parents insisting on the get-rich-quick syndrome? In both content and character, if we look at the issues of this get-rich-quick syndrome, has to do with the celebration of filthy accumulation of purloined wealth. If anybody steals money or gets it by whatever reason, people don't care to ask. In those days, if they see you with even a new dress, your parents, if they see you, they'll ask you, from where did you get it? Or if you come with a car, or even a bicycle. In those days, bicycles used to be the fashion. When we were growing up as young people, you hardly see machines or cars plenty in it, but bicycles were the in thing. So if they ask, if they see you with it, where did you get the money from? But today, once you come with a car, whether you bring it from the moon or the skies, nobody bothers. You will find a parent will even encourage his own daughter or son to say that, look, have you not been seeing so-so-so son, your 8th grade? He has built these skyscrapers. He has brought these cars. See limousine, see all this. Look, you are just sitting here eating my food freely. So, you see, these are the things that tend to make all these youth get into these issues of Yahoo, get into armed robbery, get into kidnapping, get into ritualism, get into cultism. All these things are all combined because we've lost the moral values. We've lost our culture and tradition that abhors anything that is filthy, that abhors anything that is not well earned. In the days gone by, education used to be the prime thing. It used to be the in thing. But now, people don't even bother. They will tell you that, look, there's no way we're going to school. After all, if you graduate, there are a lot of these graduates now that are selling ATM machines or doing this POS. So why do you need to go to school? Go and do Yahoo, or go and cut somebody's head because our population is even too much, 200 million. So if you want, just go and do whatever you want and then get rich. This is the disaster. We are on a time bomb. We are on top of a gunpowder placed on top of a bazooka. DIG, whenever I see the police, I am in sync and in tune of appreciating what they've been doing. If you look at a country of about 200 million people, we have almost about just barely 500,000, or about, well, just like Dr. Mefo said, about 400 or something. Money about 200 million people, it is not an easy thing. We have to appreciate the demands and dynamics of the police operations because they've been trying. These Yahoo boys are very intelligent people.
Yes.
That's why this governor of, I appreciate the governor of Edo State that said, look, instead of castigating them doing this thing, let us mob them up, get them, sing in sync, and then train them to more productive ways of earning a living. I think this is one thing that should focus the attention of the government. There's the need for the government, as the Minister of Information has rightly stated, that the National Agency should form a vanguard of public enlightenment so as to see to the possibilities of, reducing all this carnage of ritualism, all this get-rich-quick syndrome, all these killings and whatever. It is just not there. We are just not there. Nigeria, as a nation, we need to think out of the box. Okay. But even within the box, let us look at the temperament. Let us look at the population. Let us look at what will progress this country. And what will do that is education, our moral values, and also the appreciation of hard work.
Indeed, Madam Modibo, thank you. You just mentioned something I would like to, an expert I would like to ask the DIG, retired DIG here. You talked about education, and I know DIG, I mean, everyone knows that the fact that the correctional centers are filled to their brim and in fact overflowing indicates that the use of force or even violence for violence is not an efficient deterrent approach, to solving issues. And as you know, in medicine, they say prevention is better than cure. Dr. Mefo said that the youths are taught to circumvent the system. That falls within the purview of education. Where do you put the blame squarely on?
I think both in our institutions where these boys have gone, and then the parental, and then what we do as a country out there, whether in the society or in where we work. There's a lot of compromise. I would rather say all these boys that go look for money, either by killing one another or kidnapping or cattle rustling and some other very dirty crime that they found themselves. When they get home, they are always celebrated by their parents and everybody around. They throw money out and in, and a lot of them make use of hotels now. They live in the hotels. They live in groups. And they spend the whole day and night, doing their yahoo. All the owners of these hotels know. The parents are aware. And so instead of the parents, to take an action, or the hotelier should be able to report such incidents, they encourage them. Because when you come out and you take your parents out there, we've said them with all kind of things that you are able to do as small as young as these children are. Rather than us denying them and making a report as parents, we celebrate them. They go into communities. During celebration, you see them, and they look the way you know that these boys are the dangerous ones that we know that have been circumventing the system, and these are people that have done a lot of damage to the country. And so I would rather say that we should be able to build institutions where these boys can be taken to, where this boy can receive some orientation. They are not going to stop through arrest and being prosecuted through the justice system, because some of the punishment for some offenses are very mild, and they know that they're going to get out. And the more they get out, they become more radicalized. So I have said it that we need to look inward. Also, we need to sanitize, the system. We need to look at the society. We as parents must take our responsibility. We should be able to condemn our children and report our children when we see them doing things that are unprintable. But rather because of the performance of the economy that has left a lot of people not getting what they want to have. They celebrate them, they honor them, and they encourage them. And so, like I said, if we strengthen our system and look at where we've gone wrong and make sure that we stand on our feet by insisting that those who display wealth without the sources being identified, we should be able to bring these people to accountability. We should be able to develop justice system that does not wait for someone to commit a crime that is a crime as regards to our laws. But some of these laws, some of these things should some other alternative way of getting to people who are, displaying wealth, people who are known in the society for ritual killing and the rest of it. We should be able to develop the justice system to capture them and to insist that we get to know what exactly they are doing for a living and why have they come this way with this kind of wealth.
But sometimes even those who display such affluence, unexplained affluence, get the cover of the law.
That's it. It's the law that is weak, but I wouldn't say that those who enforce the law, compromise. Our justice system should be strengthened because you spend 6 years trying to prosecute, and then the judge would want you to have sufficient evidence, and some of the evidence cannot be presented, but it is on the public glare that this is what this man is doing. And so I am saying we should go back and look at the justice system and then also build some institutions that can pick these people who are suspecting, pick even the owners of these hotels where they harbor these people, and get them out and then let them be accountable. You can't do that now because every person that is suspected to have committed any crime is presumed to be innocent until the contrary is proved. And the justice system that we served can take a lot of years. Those who started might retire before the conclusion of prosecution. Some of the judges may just not be there, and all the time you have to take it back. After 3 years, you have to go back as a new judge to the first, to that very, and most of the evidence that you would have presented are not there. And so our justice system should be strengthened.
DIG Habila Joshua, thank you very much. I was just wondering, the point has been made about some of these criminal elements using hotel premises or hotel rooms. Yes. Is it not probably too harsh to start criminalizing hotel owners? Now, if you push them out of hotels, they could have other accommodation that they could use. So are you now going to start criminalizing property owners because the tenant is a ritualist? If the tenant and the landlord or the property owner don't reside in the same premises, how might they know unless there's information? But a more fundamental issue I would like you to address, which relates to law enforcement, is as follows. Part of the reason given for the harsh EndSARS protest was the claim by young persons of they are being shaken down from time to time by law enforcement officers. They say law enforcement officers, some of them go about with a POS, or they see you have a laptop or a phone, they say that you are a Yahoo boy, and then they take you to an ATM. When you download, you give them part of it, so that way the interest of some of those law enforcement officers was in having their dividend from these criminal activities. We tended also to embolden those who were in all of this. We hear not a lot of those stories now, even though in the Federal Capital Territory, some weeks ago, there was a video that went viral of a young man who was taking the pickup, police patrol pickup, and he was asked to go to an ATM to withdraw money and give to the law enforcement officers. So whether you are hardworking or whether you are a Yahoo boy or a ritualist, once you are able to settle the officers, then they look the other way why you proceed. Mayfor raised an issue. I haven't seen that, but it says that some of these ritualists advertise online. At these training schools, why does it appear difficult to be busting them wherever they are and at any time of day so that you put them out of business?
Not just online.
I agree with you. I agree with you that during the NSAS, some of the issues that were thrown up in the face of the police is that police compromise. Police will identify these Yahoo boys, and instead of getting them into the office and then try to put an intelligence on them and then building up evidences, sometimes it is true that there's a possibility that some of them will compromise by taking them to the ATM and get their money. That we got to know that, and I think there were a lot of effort that were made, and that I don't know if they're still doing that now, but the Inspector General of Police recently has called all his officers and said they should be able to go after them, and they do. But what I'm saying is, these are boys from parental homes, coming in, going out and coming in with a lot of items that are so expensive that you cannot imagine that such boys would have. So because the community, the society, the family unit must be very, very up and doing by trying to know that their children or the neighbors, the boys around the neighborhood have exhibited some character and some wealth.
DIG, I apologize for jumping in. What we are seeing now, gentlemen, and I mean that none of us here who is probably less than 50, who is less than 50, they say that you always know the bad boys in the community.
Yes.
In the past, when we were not having this large-scale Yahoo or Yahoo Plus, you always knew who the bad guys were. And it was also a problem at the material time that if somebody squealed on, say, an armed robber or some other criminal element, in some cases, it was alleged that the police could point out and say, oh, Mayfor, you were the one that went to report me to the DPO. The DPO is my friend. The same thing is said to be happening now. So you report a Yahoo boy who's driving a flashy car with no visible means of livelihood and no future whatsoever, and the boy comes around, honking his horn and saying, you think you can do something to me, that person you went to report me to is on my payroll.
You see, I won't dismiss that totally, but I can let you know that if there are security agencies, whether of the police or of the civil defense and others, you are only likely to get a few, just few of them. And the few of them now cannot decide the fate of others. But I will tell you that there are a lot of very good police officers and other security agencies out there, even the military, because the military also is now in the internal security. The problem is that when you get these people and get them red-handed, how do you prosecute? it takes a long time. If the law is not strengthened, it takes a long time. To convict a Yahoo boy takes a long time. And if you put the Nigerian police and then they tell you their experiences in court in an attempt, to prosecute this boy, it becomes so difficult because the law have not been strengthened. The points to prove, it's a big problem. And that's why I'm saying that we should just go back to our laws and ensure that we strengthen them so that the police can get these people together and slam them down. But without that, it is not possible. You take a lot of months. Sometimes the judge is transferred. Sometimes the police officer that is prosecuting is taken from here to Katsina. And then he will be coming from Katsina to attend court here. And some of the facilities for him is just not there. Some have retired and hand over cases. How do you now deal with that? Well, I think we should be very swift. The laws should be strengthened. So as soon as you get these people, someone must be punished. These people must be accountable. These young boys, there must be a deliberate attempt and something to be put on ground just to check most of this crime and criminality of kidnapping, even kidnapping cases. You go to prosecute, it takes a long time. And the prosecutors and those who investigate are also being threatened.
DIG, what Kingsley, the point Kingsley raised is very fundamental. And even though you may have retired, I know you still have, your advice and your contributions. Yes, I think this is an area that the police really needs to address because it is a big problem and it is one problem that is preventing people from actually, doing the reporting to the police or giving the police the right information. But let me put you on hold and bring in Ibrahim Modibo. I mean, we can't all wait for people to be killed for ritual, before we take action. That's why I'm asking you. You're not a psychologist. Dr. Lomefo here is. He will also take this question. But are there behavior or behavioral traits that may indicate a tendency to deviant actions? Like I see a lot of people who, gather at betting games. There are some, shows on television, on radio. There are a lot of youths now, glued to just to make, fast money. Do you see those as, triggers?
You see, our major problem starts with the community or the society uphailing celebrities with no permanent address, quote unquote. Permanent address in the sense that they don't have any visible means of livelihood. But you see the flashy cars. So many instances I see on social media, or even on conventional media, some people will come for a burial. You will see people spray money. In fact, the money will be so heap that it will even submerge their knees. And the young people are celebrating them. The community is celebrating them. Why should we be using that as a forum on social media to look at Nigeria and tell them that, look, this is one of our value systems? That is our problem. Although the social media is not regulated, and therefore, they have the license, enviable latitude, to place all these things on record. But the society, let me advise, by way of looking at the consequences of these actions, there is the need for the government, which has already taken the first step of national orientation. Let us see how the government will galvanize the National Orientation Agency and other related agencies, so as to bring up national orientation and show Nigerians the virtues of going back to our cultures and tradition, the virtues of appealing hard work rather than get rich quick. 2, there is the need for us to further enhance the importance of education within society. Because a society that is not educated, a society that lives or craves for riches rather than education is doomed. And therefore, there is the need for us, if possible, to go back to those days where there is free primary, secondary school education so as to, and even this government has done a very, very fantastic idea of even these school feeding children. Giving the uniforms, building schools. There are a lot of governors that have built fantastic schools. If you go to Borno, if you go to Kaduna, see quality teachers and quality primary and secondary schools that you think is a university. This is one of the things that we should move the country forward.
Okay.
3, by way of advice, I'll advise that these boys be galvanized. Let us see them as a very important segment of this country. Let us mobilize
you have not spoken about, I said betting games.
Yes.
And then, some TV shows, are they triggers, for deviant behaviors?
No, you see, I would not outrightly say the betting games, because even in America, there are bettings. All over the world, there are bettings, of which if it is legalized, if it is put in...
But they are based on luck, not hard work.
Of course, they are based on luck and not hard work. So it's not everybody that even gets the luck. It's not everybody. So in this circumstance, to me, if the government feels that betting is okay, I have seen they have established an organ of the government where they have licensed betting, I think there's nothing wrong with it. It is in conformity with the global trend of activities that are happening. But my major source of worry is not about betting. My major source of worry is about Yahoo, this cultism and getting rich quick by way of kidnapping, and also this ritualist. Because they are the major dangers to this country. Whether we like it or not, it is one of the fundamental reasons why today in Nigeria, people don't value education.
Okay, let me pause you. We'll go in a break in a short while, but Dr. Mefo, quickly, could you respond?
Well, in responding to that issue, maybe I should also add the kind of values that the media promote. Do those values encourage this criminal or deviant behavior?
My opening glee captured one thing: reinforcement. Any behavior that is reinforced, positive or negative, will reoccur. It's a principle in learning psychology. And that is what is going on here. What the society reinforces is the behavior we are saying. And the reinforcement here can come either through reward or through punishment. We are rewarding the wrong behaviors, and we are not punishing the wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying? So you need to punish. And that is where DIG made a very strong point when he was talking about strengthening the justice delivery system. I agree with him. But you see, the issue is far more fundamental than that. You need to go down to the foundation. Yes, let me share a little experience. I was in a federal high court the other day, and a law enforcement agency brought a suspect, and they came with a plea bargain. A Yahoo matter. The young man that defrauded a white woman was ready to pay. And the law enforcement agency that brought the young man to court was, entering plea bargain. The judge asked a question, very instructive. The judge asked, the defrauded woman, is she in agreement with the plea bargain process? There was no answer to that. What that meant was that within the security agencies, they conclude all these things even without bothering to know how the victims feel. It's part of that reinforcing process. So if you look at it, you discover that what we are facing is so holistic, so systemic. The decay is total, and it cuts across board. When we were in the university in the 80s,
yes,
right?
You have to conclude your thoughts now.
Okay.
Yes.
In the 80s, we had, cultism was only in the universities. But now cultism has left it's not only in the university, it's in secondary schools, it is in primary schools, it is in the motor parks. Cultism. That is the foundation of part of what we are facing. Why did we allow that to germinate, implant, blossom, and become the model for the youth in Nigeria?
Okay,
that is where the problem is.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mefo, for that good pause. So let's take a short break. When we come back, we'll probably look at, what can be done and how we can get out of this, bad situation.
The 157-kilometer Lagos-Ibadan Railway is the first double-track standard gauge railway to be built in West Africa. The Mobolaji Johnson train station is a masterpiece, an infrastructure that is gradually becoming an iconic building in Lagos State. The modern facilities put the station on a world map of train stations. Likewise, other new train stations across the country built to world-class standards. The train and its convenience is indeed an admirable effort, with commendations from Nigerians.
This is a station that we have to commend the federal government for putting a beautiful face, empowering us in Lagos State, not only in economic and political arena.
I can say that I'm really impressed with the infrastructures in place. Kudos to the Minister of Transportations. Kudos to the federal government.
Truly, good things are coming out of Nigeria, and the federal government is deserving of all the applause.
Ibrahim, to the right. Bilal, you go to your left.
Thank you for the rejections that taught me to keep striving. Thank you for the long hours that taught me discipline. Thank you for the knockdowns that taught me to bounce back. And for the unexpected victories that taught me to never give up.
Please welcome Dr. Chiksi.
Thank you for making me who I am.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Watford will seek to do a double over the Red Devils when they travel to Old Trafford this weekend. It's Manchester United versus Watford on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 3:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Baba Ijebu, empowered by Integral.
All right, you're welcome back, and it's still Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We're still discussing how to tackle money rituals and indeed other get-rich-quick schemes that are prevalent amongst young persons in Nigeria today. I was just wondering, gentlemen, in terms of proffering solutions, the young persons we are dealing with today are probably under 40, under 35. What do they do with the money that they get from these rituals, assuming rituals do in fact produce money? What do they do with the money? The same conspicuous consumption that they find around the society? How can we wean them off such behaviors and such temporary pleasures that they may get? By the way, when I see some of these young lads pretending to be popping and drinking champagne, I just ask, I see whether they don't ask themselves this question. The champagne you are drinking, where it is produced, are people of your age drinking those costly champagne in that environment? Brian Modibo.
Thank you very much. As you've spoken about champagne, there was a day I saw on a video clip in one of these pubs, they were carrying a champagne of over 500,000. They will carry it with light. It will be doing siren. We like this. Wow! They will drop it on the table. So, if you look at it, shows that Nigerians, or there are people that tend to look at issues of wealth as a priority. If the government should stand up to check all these things, by way of advice or by way of line of reasoning, one, as I've already stated, the National Orientation Agency should move in fast. Two, the strengthening of the laws, as the DIG has rightly stated. Three, The security architecture must be overhauled so that the security will get gadgets. Let us not see the police as using sticks of the 60s. They will be holding batons. Now it is about security, about gadgets. They should have the modern technology to detect some of these Yahoo boys, to detect all these crimes with gadgets. 3, the government should stand up as a matter of priority to make education a very, very fundamental issue. 4, parents should look at their children by way of appreciating them on their face value. Not necessarily looking at, you say, okay, you are in the same class with somebody, and suddenly you've seen him riding flashy cars, you've seen him building skyscrapers, and your parent will start telling you that, look, you are a lazy bone, you are always eating, you are just there in my house. You are not doing anything. Look at your mate. Look at what he has done. So that value of get rich quick without knowing the source of wealth is a major problem. By 5, I want to believe that Nigeria as a country should mobilize these boys. Let me reiterate again. Some of these boys, especially the Yahoo boys, they are very intelligent boys. Let us mobilize them towards productivity. They can do something better than stealing people's money in banks, sitting in hotels, and then trying to steal people's money abroad. That is not a good thing for Nigeria. It has spoiled the name of this country, and there's a need for us to show that, look, there's government in this country. 5, let us also look at the issue of even our politicians. If you look at the way that some of our politicians display wealth, it is not a good thing. It shows that, look, these young boys, they will say that, look, if they don't enter politics maybe through cultism or through cutting somebody's head or through killings, to meet up with the demands and dynamics of the flashy nature of politicians, the way they spend money, the cars they ride, and even the women they marry. They marry the most beautiful women in the world. So these are issues that are central and germane to the government putting in place a very good structure to give us a national orientation so as to meet up with the current trend of events globally. Because the world over, people appreciate you on face value. People appreciate you for your intellect. People appreciate you for hard work. People appreciate you for industry. They never appreciate wealth based on something they have stolen. Some people don't even bother about you. You see a billionaire or a millionaire in Europe having only about 2 or 3 jeans with a top. So they don't even look at the cars you buy or the planes you ride. They don't value. They value intellectualism. And therefore, the government, as a matter of urgency, should consider all these things to see to the other, well, like my other colleagues would definitely come and put up some very fundamental resolutions that the government might likely take so as to save our children, save the country for the betterment of Nigeria.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Mefo, within the context of psychology, is there a boomerang effect on, the perpetrator of the, on the money ritualist, on the person who gets the money?
I don't see much deterrence because I don't see prosecution. I don't see punishment.
No. I said, is there a boomerang effect?
Yeah, when you say
on the person who does, who gets the money?
That's it. You see, what you call boomerang here is consequence, right? Yeah. But they get away with it practically, because if there is boomerang and it is demonstrated, it would become punishment ultimately that would discourage others who are in the fringes from carrying on with such activity. When Peter Obi was governor of Anambra State, do you know how he dealt with the issue of kidnapping? Once a kidnapper is traced to your house, he will bring it down. I'm telling you the gospel truth. He went a long way. You see, you need to be a bit unorthodox in addressing some of these issues. We must see punishment. In life, what you have is action, reaction, consequence. We don't see that. Now people are allowed to see money as an end in itself, not a means to an end. That is where the problem is. There are no consequences.
Or rather, the result of value creation.
That's it. I talked about work, that you need to earn. You need to earn what you have. Whatever you have you didn't earn is a product of criminality or begging. You don't give people fish. You give them a hook with which to fish. If you want solution to what is going on, it's relatively simple. Go back to the basics. Recover the family. You know, my brother Modibo has been talking about National Orientation Agency. Is that agency still there? I can't remember any of their interventions in the recent past. Are they funded? What do you understand the point? This should be in the forefront, campaigning for change in Nigeria. They are not funded, they are not well staffed, they are not trained. The same thing that has happened to the Nigerian police force. When you talk about criminal justice system, it begins with investigation. It is the police that does investigation. That's the murder agency that will ensure that the investigation, is done before you even get to court. Before the court system will come in, process the criminal to the Nigerian prisons or what you call correctional facilities. Now, do you know that in the Nigerian prisons, 70% of the inmates there are waiting trial. Some of them have outstayed, that is assuming they were to be convicted. They have already spent beyond the time they would have spent if they were to be convicted for the offense that took them into the place in the first. So there is something fundamentally wrong, something systemic. It's not just a one-sectoral thing, because this issue of kidnapping, ritual killing, and all that, they are all examples of what is going on across board. The money, just one last line. The money, much of the money the Yahoo boys make, ritual killers make, pass through the banks, right? What stops the EFCC going after the money? You want to know who owns this money. You want to know the source of this money. Can there be a law?
NFIU as well.
Do you understand that? Can there be a law empowering the security agencies to confiscate assets and money that is not explained? Can't we have a law like that? Is that rocket science? The fact remains, you have a total decay.
It's still the lawyers that will go and defend them and get out the money.
The lawyers will defend you when the matter is in court or when you are arrested. Not to defend you, but to stand in for you and be sure that if you have a just cause, then of course the matter goes on. But what he's talking about, I believe, is something that the law enforcement agencies, the NFIU, that's the Financial Intelligence Unit, and the EFCC. The EFCC, by the way, has recorded successful prosecution of some of these Yahoo boys, hundreds of them, but they just keep proliferating. But back on the issue of money rituals, I'm just wondering, just the street sense. I want to ask this question. If those herbalists or those who prepare these charms for them from body parts of persons who have been dismembered and so on and so forth, why is it that these herbalists themselves are not the wealthiest in the society or even in the country? If these money rituals actually work and if they create lasting wealth, why is it that the ritualists, that is to say, the herbalists will say, go and bring one human kidney, go and bring one human breast, and so why are they not themselves the wealthiest? Or the just doesn't work for them?
Dr. said they are measured without scientific base. Who are you asking your question?
No, I don't know. The DIG will come from a policing perspective.
No, let Dr. Mefa and Modibo. Let Dr. Mefa and Modibo take it up.
You may have experience. Okay. You may have arrested some herbalists or ritualists in the past who will be telling you, you'll be singing one incantation like this.
Yes.
Why is it if you see in a filthy environment that is, and it dies in that filth?
That's the irony. Yes. The irony is that those of them that prepare this concoction for them will convince this youth that is what they are called to do. That's their gift. And that they are not allowed to become rich. And so you see them in their tattered dresses, looking unkept. And this is the man that will tell you that with this, you can take this part, and this is where it will take you to. So common sense. And so they will always let you know that because it's all lies, it's all fake, they will tell you, this is a gift, and some of the instruction and directive is that we should not participate, and they are not rich. And so these are some of the dummies that they sell. And that's why we're saying, if you have those incidents, if you need to visit the police station, you need to visit the prosecutors in the Nigerian police and you would see the emptiness of exactly the hopelessness, because prosecution takes a long time. The adjournment alone. And so officers who are privileged to have this information and having the zeal to prosecute, sometimes they are transferred, sometimes they are promoted, sometimes they're taken, given another assignment. And so you keep going back and front. And that's why I'm saying we should be able to strengthen this law so that when you're prosecuting, within the short possible time, you'll be able to present your case. The lawyers also are not helping matters. Of course, they do not look at. I thought that we should have a system where all of us should be able to be very frank and contribute to the development of this country. But a lot of them that have been given that have the
Let me throw this in as well. Some of these videos, you see them, but some, of course, are comedy skits and so on and so forth. I watched one recently, and it wasn't in Nigeria. It was outside, but we can use the lesson therein. They were asking some ladies, young ladies, say, who would be your preferred man? Is it a scammer, a drug dealer, or a 9-to-5 person? That is to say, a regular Joe who does a 9-to-5 job or 8-to-4 job. Most of the ladies said either scammers or drug dealers. Okay. Now, back to our domestic environment. You are seeing some of these girls, some of them, I'm not saying all, some of them who have been used for rituals. Some of them just left their homes without even informing their parents where they were going to. Some of them are chasing money. Some, I said, chasing money to go and do bone straight hair. I don't know, all those things will build a bungalow. You want to live with the Joneses, you see their fingernails, they look like all those figures that we read in Macbeth and so on and so forth. Does this also drive the behavior of these young boys who would say, let me impress this lady? I come in this flashy car, then I will get the best babes in town. And the babe who is riding in that car doesn't care how you make your money, whether you are a scammer, a drug dealer, a ritualist. And if you are a 9-to-5 guy, say you are a let on me, Mefo. Well,
they constitute part of the reinforcement, whether we like it or not, because they are a prize, right? A man wants the best out of life. The best women inclusive, isn't it? And if you have to pay a price to get her, you work for the price. But the problem here is that the Yahoo boys don't want to work in a decent, honest process to acquire what they want. There is nothing wrong with going for the Nigerian beauty queen. You can, if you can, why not? But you need to really work for it. To kill, to get money, to do that is where the problem comes. To abandon work, a process, to get her is where the problem is. So ultimately, I think the girls are part of the problem, but not in the sense that they are sending them off to this. When a girl that is in school, in the university, a student, is going for an iPhone of $500,000 naira. Do you understand that?
Sorry, I'm
half
sorry.
a million.
Yes, I
naira.
have to stop you. We're almost running out of time.
Yeah.
But I really do not see the causal relationship between a girl's or a lady's appearance and what she wants, and the tendency for men, for Yahoo boys or people to ritual killing. I really don't see that connection. But Modibo, your last words in less than 30 seconds.
No, Claire. Claire,
Yes.
hang on a second.
Yes.
There is a relationship.
Yes,
There is a relationship. A lady has to be able to fund her lifestyle. And if she has no visible means of earning to fund that lifestyle, and the means come from other sources, how do you justify that?
Let me quickly come in here.
Just 30 seconds, please.
Yes,
We're overshooting our time.
I agree with your submission, Claire. Honestly, there are some men that go after ladies, they go and borrow babariga, borrow car. to impress the woman.
Exactly.
So they'll go and do anything to impress the woman. So let us not blame the women completely. And secondly, if you look at the social psychology of Babalawos, moving to a question, Kingsley, Babalawos will never appear in fine dresses because of the cultural nuances of their profession. They have to look tattered. They will tell you that, look, my own is to look dirty. Your own is to look clean, and you are going to get the money. That is the social psychology.
I wish we could continue. I wish we could really continue. We may have to look at another program to look at this. There are so many issues. Ibrahim Modibo, public affairs analyst, I have to thank you at this point for being part of our conversation. And Dr. Law Mefo, social and forensic psychologist, thank you also as well. It was a pleasure to have you. And retired Deputy Inspector General of Police, our friend, Habila Joshak, always a pleasure to have you. And that concludes our conversation, and we are almost hitting 9. So I just say thank you for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow. Kingsley?
I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Do take care of yourselves.